Hey, welcome to another episode or blog or
Whatever you want to call this.
cast of Marriage Plus Business. I'm Rene,
I'm Jen.
and here we are with week number. It's the second to last week in November, or it is the last week in November.
Thanksgiving week.
2019, yeah.
Thanksgiving week.
So, how was our week, or what is going on with this week? I guess is what we should say, because we kind of. What did we talk about last week?
Well, last week we were recounting how our vacation went in Florida. And then this week has been just,
Re-entry.
re-entry, exactly. After, and it's just been really good. Busy, happy clients, received a couple of thank you notes from clients. Just a lot to be grateful for. And getting ready for some coaching calls that I'm going to start being a student of a coach, but then also coaching others. So it's kind of like the teacher is teaching me, and then I'm teaching others. And I thought it would be kind of fun to talk about coaching today and teaching, because Rene just finished giving a private dance lesson to a brand new student who is a former national champion of kickboxing.
He's a kickboxing. He was a
back in the day.
We'll have to research it because I would want to horribly misquote, when it was. But I want to say 80s maybe, mid 80s. I'll have to look at the film footage again.
Francis Footloose
Farley. Yeah.
Look him up. But yeah, super, super nice guy, and he's taking dance lessons with us. And so Rene and I, if you calculated all of the money that we have spent on private dance lessons, we could have bought a house by now, right? I mean,
That's what we like to say.
It feels that way, right?
But it feels that way, yeah, exactly.
But I think coaching and mentoring and always learning is just a really important thing, and I thought that would be kind of fun to talk about.
Sure. What's your take on it?
Well,
and she's done
I spend
a
a lot of money on personal training. Not necessarily physical personal training. I do have a personal trainer, yes, but I also have a business coach. I have various coaches. Some I know personally, or some that I'm in their online courses. But yeah, if you look at how much I spend each year,
you could buy another house.
Well, it's still cheaper than a college education. However, I'm a firm believer in always pushing past my comfort zones and pushing past my present knowledge, because there are other people that are ahead of me where I want to be, and they can lend me their hand and show me the way up the mountain versus me trying to climb up the mountain by myself without any mentoring, without any guidance. I mean, I'd rather have someone teach me the short route on how to get the success versus, breaking my nose and ramming my head up against the wall multiple times. Not to say that the road to success is short. No, it's certainly your own length of time. It's not always the fastest way, but if someone can show me how it's done, I have an easier time connecting the dots. And so, yes, I find that in business, in accounting, in personal development, in dance, in physical training, I do invest a lot of time and money into coaching. And then that way I can teach others, because that's what I do. I turn around and I share my information about marketing with entrepreneurs across the country. So
yeah, she definitely does. She definitely is in that niche, if you will.
Yeah. How about you?
I've never been a mentor in the sense of...
Oh, you're a mentor in dance. Everyone wants to dance like Rene.
Well, true. But I've never had mentors in the sense, like, to the extent that Jen has, or the way she qualifies it, right? Having paid coaches or programs, in that she has, like, specifically sought out or worked out with someone, like, directly. But I have done a lot of self-mentoring, I guess. Mm-hmm. I guess maybe that doesn't really count. But I do a lot of studying, which is maybe a different type of way to become knowledgeable. But it definitely helps, I think, when you have someone who has done what you're looking to do, or who has experience in processes or processes, and knows, like, say, software or industry specific information that you're trying to get, or certain levels that you're trying to ascertain, to have direct, like, one-on-one calls or emails,
Right.
or some kind of like actual like devoted time just to you.
Well, you know what's interesting though is that you study a lot. Like, like for example, I won't know how to do something, or I'll ask him how something is done, and he is on YouTube or Google researching how it's done. And so there is no project or task I've ever requested that you haven't been able to figure it out.
That's because I'm a student of learning things kind of when I need to learn them.
Yeah.
That's a certain like
admirable.
approach. It's a certain
that's
approach.
really admirable. You never
Yeah.
say I don't know and then let it sit there. I mean, you're always really good about figuring it out. You're pretty impressive that way. And so I think that you may not seek out the personal one-on-one, because I need the accountability. I need someone to hold my feet to the fire, which is why I tell everybody what it is that my goals are and what I plan to do, because I want to be true to my word. And if I don't tell everybody, then I can't be held accountable, and I can just let that slide under the rug. But if everyone knows what it is that I'm trying to pursue, then I'm accountable. And it's like, oh, I got to deliver.
Yeah, that's a pretty good way of thinking about it, is accountability, right? Is another as a key component. In fact, I would say that's probably the biggest, from what I've seen from like other people that have done it. And I'm speaking just mostly from an observer's point of view. Watching other people go through like a mentorship online is one of the things I've seen, one of the programs I watch. And they have gone through several, I guess, candidates or mentees, if you will. And you get to see how they do things and the approaches they take. Because it's definitely, I think the one thing about having a mentor is it's very tailored to you, whereas something that's like a general class does the best to serve the best amount of information to whoever's looking for whatever the subject or topic is. But when you have a mentor, or in the case of like a private lesson, and it's like from a dance perspective, you get to have things really tailored to, right down to the nut,
Right.
for you.
Right.
So, and that's the one thing I haven't done with my own art. The closest maybe, now that I think about it, I've ever had a mentor was probably like in high school.
Oh yeah? Tell me about that.
And it's maybe mostly just the teachers I had, like art class or English classes I tend to do well in, and it's just like giving you a little bit of extra encouragement, or just advising certain things, and that's purely just from going to high school type thing. I guess the closest I'm trying to really dig here was maybe like working out, having some kind of personal guidance and some assistance in doing things. So, but for me, for my art, there's a lot that I look online, and maybe that's why I'm still, because I am so like focused on what I'm doing, that like I'm always doing, and kind of gradually pushing that needle in that direction for my art. But like Jen says, sometimes you can make a lot more progress faster if you have a mentor.
Yeah.
And for my art, I've always been working just kind of on my own clock and on my own speed. So there was never really a sense of like looking to get a mentor, in the sense that someone would want to take a mentor to achieve a certain goal. Like I've always known I wanted to do my art. Like I've always had the fortune of being able to take my skills or my talents or what I've learned and be in a paid position to do that. And I'm talking about when I used to work for the commercial print company that I was at for over 20 years. I was fortunate to get in on that and then learn on the job, on the job training, as they say, and being able to get paid while I learn, which I think is one of the best ways to go about it if you can do it.
Right.
It's not common, but I think it's definitely a way that worked for me, cultivating and learning other skills that, as it pertains to design and art in a broad sense, but also keeping me focused in seeing what can be done when you do focus on something intently and strive to either get better or try to become more multifaceted within my art. So, and everything for me is really art driven. So I'm pretty one-sided.
So who are some,
Yes.
like if you had to choose 3 people that you watch on a regular basis, or 3 channels that you watch on a regular basis related to art, who are you watching nowadays?
I'm watching specifically for art. There was just a new person I just started watching. I can't remember their name.
Sorry that person we're watching. Yeah, sometimes that happens.
That happens a lot, and
you know their face, you know how to find them, but
yeah,
you know it's just that is the one thing about getting online.
It's someone who I used to watch before, but then kind of started watching again. Why can't I think of his name? His name is Jason Brubaker, and he's a comic book artist, and he is someone who's put his time in the professional world of working like in film. He was like a storyboard artist, is his story. And I recently rediscovered him because he is an artist that has never been published, in the sense that like he's worked for like some of the big like well-known companies, but he's always done his own projects and he's been successful with it. So plus his YouTube videos are pretty cool. They're pretty good in terms of like the information that he gives and the knowledge that he can share when it comes to, you know, being a comic book artist, like what he does, a storyteller. So he's a good one that I started watching, and then I got into something else, and then I kind of went back to him because I started doing comic books again on my own comic book, and so it was good to rediscover him, and then see a lot of stuff that he's been talking about lately. And he's been on for quite some time, for a few years, I think, maybe a handful of years. So he's like an inspiration, but also someone who could be like a distant mentor, in the sense that the information he gives is really good stuff.
Who else?
Another one is there are the characters. I should say the angel characters that I study, or I watch a lot. There's an artist by the name of Peter Moorbacher, who is a fantasy artist, but does a lot of independent work. In fact, his whole project has been almost like this lifelong project that he's been working on, and he's finally built it to a point where he's able to make a living off of it. Does, you know, his own work, his own IP, his own intellectual property, and is successful at being able to market it and find a following. And he also does a show called One Fantastic Week, along with his partner Sam Flegel, who is another insanely, you know, popular and really, you know, fine artist as well. So both of them are I count them as the same in the sense of like they're with that same show.
One Fantastic Week.
Yeah, which is a weekly show about fantasy artists, and how their week was. So I would count those as 1 and 2. A third one is, I kind of have to dig back because I've been kind of with these, especially with the last one, One Fantastic Week. I've been watching them almost religiously for like probably 2 years now. But prior to that, if I had to pick someone that's not on YouTube, but that is, I should say that is not like I can hear and see them, it's always going to be the comic book artist of the month when it comes to what I'm doing. So by that, I'm studying different artists. And it's funny, but there are different times when I feel that my art should have a certain look or feel. And so then I'll gravitate toward artist A for one thing, and then I'm like, you know, I really just want to, I should be doing this. So I go to artist B, so I'll look at a bunch of artist B. And then after 6 months or so, I'm like, you know, my artwork really should be more like somewhere in between A and B. So then here comes artist C. And so I kind of like look at their work, and I'm sure every other artist has done that as well, because there's so much out there that gets you excited when you look at stuff. It's not just apples. There's apples, oranges, orangutans, and, you know, bananas, and all kinds of things that you can look at. And so it's easy to get distracted. So if between those 3 very loosely considered mentors, that's what it looks like, you know, in my head when I think about what do I do to have something that I can look toward or that influences me. And it's all, the only thing about all that is it's just totally my own interpretation. And it's all happening just within me to kind of dissect it, take what I think works for me, and not really, what I don't like, I kind of like, well, I don't like that, so I won't do that. So it's a very one-sided, again, approach to how I self-mentor. Now, the one thing I have thought about doing is going and taking like an online course that is actually, it's a self-directed course.
I need to do that for accounting.
Right.
I'd like us both to do that for accounting.
Yeah.
Because it would be very helpful for us to learn.
But yeah, an online course with that has all those things being taught by professionals.
What course would you in particular like to sign up for?
There's one that is called SVS Learn, and there's a good mixture of illustration and comic book, and probably a whole slew of other things in between that will teach you, a lot of basic things about stuff that I've been studying already, but by no means am I like gonna be perfect at it. But I don't think I'll ever be perfect at anything, right? So just keep pushing along. So that would be one, is that one, because they have a pretty good track record from what I can see online, and the forum is pretty active, meaning that the people who take these classes or who study with them or who are just visiting the forum, it's pretty active, and I think that's a pretty good sign. That's only the real one that I know of. There's a couple of other ones that I know of, but if I really look around, I can find maybe 2 or 3 within like the genre that I specifically focus on that I could find and study. Otherwise, for the most part, like I said, I think at the beginning of this question Jen asked me, it's like I kind of learn things when I need to learn them. So that's kind of how my mentoring, my menteeing goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then together we watch other wonderful personalities that have a lot to share. Gary Vaynerchuk is our current favorite. We're always watching him. He is incredible in how he shares his knowledge about marketing, and
he has a charisma, doesn't he?
He's really great. And I so love his books, and I just love feeling like I get to know him well. I think that's the thing that's inspiring us to even do this. It's like we are doing our work, but our work is not the only thing that defines us, right? We could be a great son or a great daughter or a wonderful friend or a fabulous dancer or a great boss, or but it's like, usually in our culture it's like, so what do you do? Well, I own a marketing agency. Oh, he's an artist, he's a graphic designer. We work together and we create some awesome marketing content for our clients, but that's not really who we are, because we're multidimensional. We're not just working. So it's just kind of fun to like see where our interests take us, right? And Gary Vaynerchuk, going back to that, when he says produce a lot of content, I always feel like I get to know him super well. And I thought that what we're doing here with Marriage Plus Business, it's a way for people who know us well to kind of see our work side, right? Because there are lots of people that dance with us. They don't really know all about our hopes and dreams and mentorship and all this other stuff that we talk about, because we're dancing on the dance floor, and for the most part we're kind of silent. We don't get a chance to really talk unless we're breaking bread together at the dinner table. So it's just kind of fun, right? To use video. And by the way, our cat wants to say hello. She has been meowing quite a bit, and I'm tempted to let her out. Do we want to pick her up? No, I guess not. She's letting it be known that she wants to get our attention, and she would like to go outside.
She'll be fine, I think.
Okay, all right.
She'll be okay.
If anything, we'll go a little faster. So another favorite that we always enjoy watching is Neil deGrasse Tyson, and similarly Michio Kaku, because those two break science into such an easy to understand entertaining way. It's like edutainment.
Yes.
Edutainment. I always feel smarter whenever I watch those two. So between Gary Vaynerchuk on business side, and then the science side, Neil deGrasse Tyson and Michio Kaku, and then the other one is Grant Cardone. And I really like Grant Cardone, but I always feel like I'm being sold. So I'm kind of not watching him as much because I feel like every time I watch him, I'm getting information, but there's always like a strong close at the end, which kind of doesn't make me feel so good. So I'm still a fan, but I just don't watch him as much, and I'm more prone to deleting his emails.
I get a lot from him.
Am I bad for doing that?
No, I don't think so. But he's doing what he's got to do because that's his.
That's what
his
he's doing.
approach.
He's
That's
10xing things,
that's his
and I
thing,
get it.
so-
And you can't grow if you don't ask to get people to buy your stuff, right? But I don't know. I kind of like Gary Vaynerchuk's approach of like, let's just share information and be helpful and give, and then it will come back in abundance. I really appreciate that approach. And that's kind of how I do business. I give a lot of free information because I want to be helpful and I want to support the people that I'm working with. Even if they're not clients of mine at that time, they will become clients of me because I've been consulting with them and I've been helping them out. And then if they like me and it makes sense, then they will work with me because we've already established that,
Sure.
I'm here to help. I'm here to serve.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it. It's a good way to be able to show who you are, right? And get people to kind of know who you are.
Right.
And at the same time, you're also giving whatever. Sometimes giving is also just a matter of sharing what you have, right?
Yeah.
It's like what we're doing here. We don't know where this is going to go ultimately.
No idea, but we're having fun.
We're having fun with it, and we're putting it out, and like we hope
And
there's
it's nice.
some kind of value to it. But like tonight's, we kind of talked about this earlier. Like, should we have like some kind of like topic? And I think we kind of came up with like, okay, mentoring.
But you know what? Maybe we should ask you. What would you like us to talk about? We have talked about how do we stay happily married and do business together. We've talked about that. We can always expand upon that because we get along
But we're not
really
counselors.
well. No, we're not
But we're not
counselors, but we
counselors.
can tell you what we do,
We can,
right?
yeah, show you what we do
And what we don't do, right? And then, we could talk about business. We could talk about art. I mean, anything that you think that we should talk about, please bring it up. And also, too, another thing that I think would be super fun is to get together with other married couples that work together and have them as guests on this little show. So
Yep, there's an idea as
I
well.
have a couple of friends in mind. So if you're
Okay,
watching,
we'll keep a list.
I might be calling you. But yeah, if you have any ideas of people that we should talk to, please introduce us, and then that way we can talk to them.
Or if you're a couple and
Hey,
watching, it's like,
you know?
hey, let's powwow or something.
Yeah, we're open to it. It doesn't have to just be within our circle, which is kind of fun, right? Like, this is what I like about social media and all of the different channels that allow us to broadcast independently. Like, gone are the gatekeepers where, you have to find somebody else to get a hold of us. I mean, you could find us and get a hold of us directly because we do reply to our emails, right? And it's kind of neat. It's like, I remembered a case study when I first started doing social media marketing, and I was proving that social media marketing works for various businesses. And it was like, what is the value of social media marketing? What is the value of these type of videos? And I remember Burt's Bees. When Burt was alive, he would be the one that would respond to a lot of the inquiries, and he was very accessible. And for the first time, when it was like, oh wow, the CEO of a corporation is responding to my emails or responding to my tweets or responding to my posts. And so I love that about our culture and how, if I've got a question for someone that I really admire, fairly recently, Derek Sivers is a person that I really admire. He was the founder of CD Baby. He has his own blog and podcast, and he's he's just a really neat person. And he did a blog, and he was talking about how he was really grateful that he could help different musicians get their music heard by being the distribution center for a lot of independent artists. And I wrote to him. I was like, hey, I am one of those artists, and thank you for creating CD Baby, because it was because of you I was able to get the distribution channel that I needed in order to qualify for the Grammy nominations on my 2 albums. So thank you, Derek Sivers, and thank you for being accessible to someone like me who, believe it or not, I'm not shy, but when it comes to people who are famous, I suddenly get shy. I went to a Lisa Nichols event. I've been in her house. I've taken her classes. I know her well. She knows me by name. But I still respect her, and I want to give her space because I know that she is under the admiring eyes of thousands of people. And I just tend to be a little shy and not want to interfere. Kitty Cat's wanting to play.
That's
what is
okay.
she doing?
It's the box.
She loves playing with boxes. So
we're good.
Anyway, but yeah, so we are accessible, and if you have any ideas for us, we would love to talk about it. Anything else that we want to talk about?
It's been like you said, it's been a busy week. It's only Monday. I should say it's been a busy day. It's going to be a busy week because there's a couple of projects we're working on.
There's only 3 business days to Thanksgiving week. The rest of it's just woo, crazy.
So maybe talk about a project that you're working on right now. Do you have any personal projects you're doing? Do you have personal projects?
Right now, thank you for asking. Right now, I am just trying to get all of my ducks in a row so I can spend the holiday weekend filling out a questionnaire for my upcoming global leadership program with Susie Carter. And that kicks off December 2nd, which is next Monday. And I need to be ready for that, and I know that I need to put together my financials. I need to put together a lot of things for that. I'm looking forward to getting that questionnaire, because 2020 is going to be a big year for me as far as growth, because I have signed up for this global leadership program. The other thing that I'm trying to carve out time for is to study things more, because there are so many books that I've read, but I need to read again, because I'm getting a lot of coaching. Seriously, I'm signed up for the Susie Carter program, the Addicted to Life 20 group. I've got my personal trainer, Ja. I've got my business coach, Vanya. Am I missing anything? Oh yeah, and I'm still involved in my Corey Poirier Blue Talk TED Talk group. So between those 5 things, I am being held accountable for a lot of them. But one of the things that I need to eventually clear out space for is I need to write my next book. And I want to start writing my next book. I can't remember when I put it down. I put it down on a piece of paper when I want to do this. But I think I need to be starting my next book soon, because I really would like to have that released.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What about you? What projects are you working on?
I have one project that I'm trying to get off because it's the end of the year, and I have a calendar that I always put out every year. Or I should say that I've tried to. It's been, I think I did one last year. Mm-hmm. It's an art calendar.
Everyone loved it.
And I did one prior to that. Maybe it was 2013 ish, or 2014. So because of what I'm doing right now, working full time from home, freelancing, I have more time to devote to my art, and so that's what I have been doing over the past year. So I'm fortunate to have some time to do that and put something out, although it's last month and that last week in November. And so I am working on a painting right now to finish up, because it's also late for my patrons and patrons, so I need to get that completed so I can send that out. But it's also a piece in my calendar, and then after that I have to paint one more piece, so that I actually have 12 paintings for my fantasy art calendar. So I do my own project/product that's called The Realm Ethereal. And it's my own world that I'm building that has all my own characters and my own storylines that I've been working on. I think it's going to be 2 years now. definitely this last year has been like full time on it, in terms of like when I have the time to work on it, which is kind of funny because it still amounts to the same amount of time that I can devote to it because of other things that I'm doing. Some of the design projects, some of the projects for Rockstar Marketing. But
I'm
this
keeping him
month,
busy.
yeah, which is a good thing. But this month has been definitely like, I should say, as we get to the end of the year, there's a lot of things that I want to cap off and make sure I can at least push to completion for this year, but then also have good momentum going into next year. So there's that project. Those two, they're kind of two projects. But then there's also my game plan for next year, which is kind of a project in itself, trying to write it down and figure out what it is I want to do for the art, but also for like my freelance career. So there's things that I want to look at and pursue, so that I can put my work in the eyes of those who would most be interested in utilizing my talents. And the same goes for the design work as well, because that's still something I like doing, I enjoy doing, and have a few projects to finish up for this year as well with regards to that. But 2020 is again probably going to be like this year. I called this year with my art and my project, it was almost like a sketch project for the whole year, trying to kind of figure it out. Like I was just kind of sketching it, but then also observing it and putting it out there just so I can kind of expose or just put my work out there and show it to who would be interested, whoever's interested in checking it out.
You get a lot of compliments on your art.
Thank you. Yeah, I get as much, I guess, as I can get right now with the small following that I have. So everyone's looking to grow their following, but trying to also find the right tribe, as you like to say, or the right crowd. So
right tribe, yeah.
But a lot of it has to do with just making the work, putting it out there, and then continuously just putting it out there. So this year has been a lot of that. Next year will continue to be a lot more of that, but with like I said, a game plan that I want to write down, because like that is a project that I've been thinking of maybe since like late September, early October, and it has to do with kind of changing my approach to what I'm currently doing now with my art and my comic books, and more or less it's more to do with the comic book, but also figuring out kind of which one I should drill down on, because that's something that has become more apparent the more I work trying to do both things and trying to determine like which one do I need to really go all in on, because it's.
And how do you make that decision?
Well, like Gary Vee says, you just do it.
Just do it.
And
Take
see what
action.
happens. Yeah.
There are no right answers.
It's
there are no
either
wrong
a good
answers.
decision or a bad decision. And if it's a bad decision, you just go on to the next thing. But yeah, that's kind of like the answer is kind of like, it's a matter of picking one. Because like right now, I'm doing two different things that each require like
decent amounts of time.
And to get each one to.
And one pays later.
Right. Well, yeah, but I mean, like,
right?
I'm talking. I'm not sure if we're like on the same page, but I'm talking more about my own personal project.
Oh, I see. As opposed to the.
It has nothing to do with
the
design work, because that's consistent. That's constant. That's a constant.
Don't worry, clients. He's on it. It's okay.
Yeah. I'm talking more about like my output when it comes to like.
Gotcha.
Should I do?
Which of your personal stuff do you want to tackle next?
Yeah, exactly. Like, is it this? Is it unicorns? Jumping out of parachutes or jumping out of what do you call those things? Air balloons, hot air balloons, or is it squirrels? Scratching my cat's belly button. It's like, which could be really cool.
Oh my god!
But like, if I try to do both artistically, like the one could potentially suffer, and that's what I'm saying. Like right now, I'm seeing one aspect of what I do kind of suffer, because that one thing that goes out, like it thrives on consistency, and the other thing that I do can stand to be something that releases like once a month. I'm talking about my comic book. Like, who wants to read a 22-page comic book in a year? That's not good. Can you imagine reading 22 pages over the course of a year? And it's like, yeah, that's not fun. That's like you reading a book that you take to bed, and imagine it took you read like a page every 3 weeks.
Well, some people prefer that pace, but not for me.
Yeah, but so for me, it's for the product. It's
I'm trying to juggle 4 books right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're just trying to read them. I'm like creating like a story.
Yeah.
And so,
right.
So I gotta I'm gonna rethink that and decide which one that I want to go full on. Not that I'm gonna drop one cold turkey.
No.
But just that
balancing
one
it.
is a matter of like. Well, I've kind of laid it out already, outlined it. So,
Right.
so that's my thing, my project, and that is a project for me. It's like, it's like really determining because once I decide it, it's like, I then have to come up with that. I then have to stick to that plan,
Right.
And then like for it to work, is like really focus on that, whatever that is. So those are my projects, and I guess that's more of a game plan, I would say, than a project.
That's good.
Yeah, it's more of a game plan for 2020. Seeing that. I already see how the 2019 has pretty much shaped up.
Pretty much coming to a close.
Yeah.
We've only got a month and a week left.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's been a good year, and it continues to be a good year, and 2020 is going to be good. Forgive me, I'm so cold. It's for all the people who are in actual like cold areas, you probably laugh at me. It's probably only like 60 degrees in here, but I'm a little chilly, so if I look like I'm having some bad body language, it's only because I'm cold. I'm very engaged.
She's very engaged.
I'm so engaged I got married. Anyway,
we're going to end this video right here so we can turn the heater on because
Yeah, right.
it has a huge
And
ass
figure out
fan that blows.
oh yeah, Beulah is the name of our heater, and truly, she's very effective, but she's loud.
Yeah, the heater's, the fan's pretty
Beulah
loud.
the heater, and we also need to see what the cat wants because she's given us the eye.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys and gals, thank you so very, very much for spending time with us. It's great hanging out with you in our Marriage Plus business
And we'll
update.
see you on the next one.
Yay!
Bye-bye.
Bye.